Timeouts arrived. Do you think the competitors has any chance at adopting a rule system with timeouts more common? I ran online turn back with 3 stock 5-minute timer, and overall it just felt normal but saved time. I've been saying it's a good idea for a long time, but then the Crimson Blur comes out and says it's a dog shit idea, and he says it louder than I say my thing, so nothing ever changes. I don't know. I think it's fine if you run a shorter timer, but then people are always like, well, it's more likely that you'll get more timeouts. And it's like, well, we don't know. We won't know until we try it. We should actually run a tournament and try it. We literally don't know. I want to run a net play tournament at some point and invite a bunch of top players and run it with a 5-minute timer and just see what happens. I just want to see Mewtwo King in the chat says, no, you'll get more timeouts. But we don't know. Will we? I guess so, but I think you might end up saving time overall. I'll sub-goal entering it. There we go. Boom. Okay. Sounds like the gears are in motion. Timeouts are right, but we have to make sure all setups are installed with the Toph mod. Bro, the Toph mod is fun. Oh, we got to pull up the Toph mod. Hang on. I'm lazy, so I haven't installed it on my own yet. But let me pull up the Toph mod.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What I actually want, and I think someone else suggested this, I want a mod that replaces when Fox dies off the top, like when he gets star KO'd. I want a mod that replaces Fox's voice with that. So you just get up smash and you just hear ah. That's what I want. That was so funny. I think timeouts are hype. Everyone always, to me, you know, I think usually the last minute of the timeout is actually hype. And you know, the first 3 or 4 minutes, no one cares about. It's really only the 5th minute and the 6th minute and parts of the 7th minute that are boring. So I don't know, just fucking run a 5-minute timer. And so what if there's some timeouts? So what if Peach Samus goes to time? It's like, it's fine. Like that's how fighting games work. Fighting games are like that. Fighting games go to time sometimes, or rounds go to time, and it's not that big a deal. I don't know. How can the Melee community, how can they practically encourage more attendance at local events by local players who aren't pro but still love Melee? Honestly, the sicker the venue is, the more likely people are to come. I'm just saying. Like, I think the best example of this is the Foundry and Hax's nightclub, or it used to be Hax's nightclub when it was getting big, and now it's just the nightclub. But those locals, to me, and Guildhouse too in NorCal, honestly, there's something about those locals that I think is extremely compelling to people, because it's not just that there are top players associated with them, it's also just because they have a very unique vibe. You can go and just get a drink or some food, and like people will just go and hang out. Like I think that there's a lot to be said about just the experience. And I think to get that out there, I think we have to step stream quality up, right? I think that the big reason the Foundry was so prominent, everyone knew about it, was because we streamed it every Tuesday and the stream was popping. You know, we had Spencer on the stream, we had a rotating cast of commentators that would come in and out. You got a really good sense of what it was like at those tournaments from the stream. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity to do that that's being missed right now. I would love to see more of that sort of thing, and that comes down to stream runners and honestly to commentators, if I'm being real. The commentators of locals. I mean, that was what put West Coast Melee on the map in 2008, 2009 was homemade waffles. It wasn't the stream back then, it was YouTube, because we didn't stream. Like, that literally wasn't, you know, streaming wasn't a big thing. Video game streaming wasn't a big thing back then, but there were VODs, and they had commentary, and the commentary was the greatest of all time. It was absolutely goated because it was homemade waffles and it was Phil. And I think that's what it takes. I think that's what it takes. And Brandon and Phil weren't top. I mean, they were good players, but they weren't top players, you know? But that was what put NorCal and the West Coast largely on the map. Here's actually an interesting question. Are you a DK believer? I gotta say the answer is yes. If you're asking Orbital Ape what I think you're asking, I think DK can only go up. And the reason I think this is because at the end of the fucking day, the most important thing you need to go up on the tier list is Punish Game. It's fucking Punish Game. It was the same shit. Steve and Kazuya come out. People are like, these characters, they're okay, but they're limited because they're neutral, blah, 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 blah. Neutral game. Neutral doesn't matter. You hit hard, things might work out for you. And like, I think Ringler is probably gonna get ranked top 100, maybe even top 50. There were some metrics I saw where Ringler literally already got ranked top 50. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing holding DK back, obviously, DK has some shit matchups, but at the end of the day, if someone plays bad against DK, you can always lose to DK because the character actually hits fucking really hard Like, the character actually fucking wobbles, like the top tiers. To me, that's so much more important. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, Young Link's got better neutral game than DK, but I think it's so much more likely that, like, fucking Ringler upset Bobby Big Balls in the matchup that Mewtwo is calling literally impossible. Ringler beat Bobby Big Balls like a top 5 Falco, and Ringler just beat Bobby Big Balls at a major. Because Bobby Big Balls was playing bad. Probably he was playing bad. I didn't see the set because it didn't get recorded. When Orbital Ape asks me about Donkey Kong, I assume he means, or they mean, can DK get some wins? And yeah, I think DK is well equipped to get wins on people who are playing bad. I think that is 100% the case. Yeah, DK considered us Sheik. DK considered that like all the fucking top tiers. I would argue DK might have one of the best punish games against the top tiers in general. Maybe Falcons is better. DK's is really good. It's really good. Here we got Punk, a regular listener, regular viewer here on the stream, over at twitch.tv/TopeBBQ, which, by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, you should come over sometime and say hi. If a bunch of well-informed people made 2 current SSBM tier lists, one for singles and one for doubles, which characters do you think have the greatest different place from one list to the other? Oh boy. Ganon, probably. I think Ganon's probably way better in doubles. Marth, probably? Marth goes down a couple spots for sure. Like, I think Peach is just straight up better than Marth in doubles. I guess Peach? Peach is like 3rd or some shit. I don't know. What do we think about the doubles tier list? I think Fox is the best character, and I actually think Sheik is the 2nd best character. And for some reason, this seems to be like a pretty common viewpoint. Like, I think PewFat was saying that in the later years of their career. I used to think Puff was the 2nd best in doubles. I used to think it was Puff, but I kind of don't think it's... I think Puff actually has limitations in doubles. Mewtwo agrees with Sheik 2nd. Yeah, I think Sheik is really fucking good in doubles. Her strengths at the ledge are ridiculous. They're just so good. I mean, that was like the Mewtwo playstyle. Like, it's just like Assassin Sheik. You don't have to tech chase. In fact, you shouldn't tech chase. And you're just a tank. Like, you can't kill Sheik. What are you gonna do? Edgeguard her? You're gonna hold onto the ledge for 15 seconds while she recovers and then swing up at the perfect time and then hit her? Like, really? Do you really think you have time for that? No, no, she's making it back. Get out of here. Sheik is, yeah, she's ridiculous in doubles, but I do think that ultimately she's already pretty high up in singles, so I don't know that she has the greatest difference in placement. Greatest difference in placement, yeah, honestly, might be Ganon. I think Ganon's pretty dog in singles. You know who else I think gets better in doubles too? I actually think Link gets a good bit better. I think Link gets a good bit better. Because I think, yeah, Ender, right there. I wasn't even looking at chat. I literally wasn't even looking at chat, and I saw you say it. And I think the reason for that is like what you want in doubles is you want the ability to scramble. You want the ability to scramble. Like, being able to scramble is good. And what I mean by that is like get people off, you get quick hitboxes that are lasting and it's hard to interact and control space, right? And if you have kill moves that you could just kind of use, like imagine your teammate gets a grab, like Link can just downer them or something, right? Like that kind of thing is nice. Link is heavy, hard to kill. Link's recovery gets better in doubles because he takes a long time. He's a linear recovery, but it's hard to edge guard. Yeah, that is true. IBDW once said, this is one of my favorite things I've ever heard about Fox in doubles. You know, like people, you know how people who are, they're more casual or whatever, you know the way people talk about Fox? Or even, okay, even like hacks with the 20XX thing. You know the way people talk about Fox was like,
Fox can do everything. Fox frame 1 invincible move, blah, 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 blah. Fox is the best. No one can touch Fox. Fox is winning matchup against every single character in the game.
It's not really true. Like, Fox and the other top tiers, they're all about the same tier. But in doubles, that actually is true. In doubles, Fox is definitely in his own tier. Like, he's definitely God tier. And like, even if you can beat Fox, like even if I'm not even that sure that like, for example, I'm not even that convinced that, let's say, double Fox is a better team by that much than, I don't know, like a Fox Sheik or Fox Peach. Like, I think those teams are all very good and roughly interchangeable, but it's more that having a Fox on the team in the first place unlocks it. Like, having a Fox on the team is so valuable. How did you and Aatrox meet? We worked at Twitch at the same time for like years. We definitely just overlapped at Twitch like for the 2.5 years I worked there, and I would sit on the 7th floor or whatever, and he sat on the 6th floor, and every time I was bored, I would go down to Aatrox's desk and I would hang out in that part of the office because that was the fun part of the office because no one down there ever did any work. The Smoothie King thing that happened. I mean, that was there was a good period where we would make a smoothie every afternoon, like the two of us. We definitely would make a smoothie, and you know, it was usually banana, fucking peanut butter. You put kale in there because the secret is you put kale in there because it doesn't taste like, and it actually doesn't change the flavor of the smoothie, but it just makes it healthier and puts fiber in there. So you just put kale in there, and then some protein powder, and then you put ice because it makes the texture better. And then you put some like low-fat milk or whatever, and you blend it up, and it's just the best thing you've ever had. All right, last question of the evening. Will people be playing Melee in 10 years or 20? You know, when I was a young one in the scene and I was going to tournaments, I thought tournaments would end. I thought that at a certain point, I was like, well, we're going to stop playing Melee at some point. We got to do something else. Like, the game's got to die eventually. I thought the game would die by, like, 2015 or 2020. Certainly 2020. I definitely didn't think we'd make it 2020. There's no way. I thought we'd still be playing this game in 2020. Now it's 2022, and the game is still hella big. You know, like, it's one of the biggest fighting games in terms of notoriety, in terms of viewership, in terms of the star power that our top players have, in terms of the interest we're having, fresh faces. I will go on a limb and say people will probably be playing Melee in 10 years. I have no idea about 20. I'm not even sure. 20 years, we might have robot overlords, and we might not even have free will anymore at that point, you know, because of the singularity. 10 years, I will say probably. I'll give it 10. I'll give it 10 years.